Winston Churchill's mom was Jennie from the block, more specifically, Jennie Jerome from Brooklyn. It was rumored that she was one of the few women in high society with tattoos, and her life was full of scandal and intrigue. Jennie was born Jeanette Jerome on January 9, 1854 in Brooklyn, New York, to a wealthy financier father, Leonard, and his wife, Clarissa. In total, they had 4 daughters, although one passed away during childhood. Leonard was one of New York City's richest and most influential men, and Jennie grew up in the Jerome mansion, which was located across from Madison Square Park. She was a noted beauty and a talented pianist who was taught by a friend of the famed composer Chopin. At the age of 20 in 1874, she married Lord Randolph Churchill, thus becoming Lady Churchill. She had been introduced to him at a sailing regatta the year before on the Isle of Wight by the Prince of Wales, who would later become King Edward VII. They were engaged 3 days after meeting, and his parents were horrified. Jennie was not part of the British nobility and was rumored to have a tattoo of a snake coiled around her left wrist, although the validity of this tattoo has been disputed. But then they found out that her family had a lot of money, and the marriage was delayed as their parents negotiated the terms. Jennie's dowry ended up being the equivalent of $4.3 million today, and it sparked a trend of wealthy American families trading cash for noble titles for their daughters, aka dollar princesses. Through this marriage, Jennie also became a relative of Princess Diana. Together they had 2 sons, the future Prime Minister Winston Churchill and Major John Churchill. Winston was born 8 months after their wedding, sparking rumors that he was conceived premaritally. Years later, when asked about his birth circumstances, Winston remarked, "Although present at the occasion, I have no clear recollection of the events leading up to it." And due to her affairs, Jennie's sisters did not believe that John was Randolph's biological son. However, it is now widely accepted that John is indeed Randolph's son. Jennie was intelligent, witty, and laughed a lot. She was well respected and influential in British social and political circles because people really enjoyed her company. She was good friends with Queen Alexandra, even though Jennie had had an affair with her husband, the king, something that Alexandra was well aware of. The king was only one of the numerous affairs Jennie had with high-profile men during her marriage. However, due to these relationships and her family contacts, she was able to help her husband and her son Winston's careers greatly. Lord Randolph passed away in 1895 at the age of 45. In July 1898, Jennie met George Cornwallis West at a weekend party, and the two immediately began a relationship, despite the fact that he was the same age as her son Winston. To put this in context, George was born the year Jennie married her first husband, making them 20 years apart. George and Jennie married 2 years later in 1900. Around this time, she was awarded the decoration of the Royal Red Cross for her efforts to care for those who were wounded during the Second Boer War. George and Jennie had a happy marriage but slowly drifted apart and separated in 1912 before divorcing in 1914. After their divorce, Jennie reverted back to using the name Lady Randolph Churchill. During the First World War, Jennie served as a chair on the hospital committee of the American Women's War Relief Fund. The organization helped to fund and staff 2 hospitals during World War I. In 1918, she married a 3rd time to Montague Pippin Porch, who was a member of the British Civil Service and 3 years younger than her son Winston. He's pictured here later in life. They remained married until Jennie passed away from complications from falling down a staircase in 1921. Let me know if you'd like to learn more about Winston Churchill or other American dollar princesses.